Well, what is up, and welcome to the final episode of 3 in the Key for the semester. I'm Ben Allen. Today, we'll get you out of here on a strong note with the plans for the next semester and hit you with one final debate. But for one last time, let's get you up to date on what you missed. In the words from the great Wu-Tang Clan, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. Richard Sherman is definitely getting the cream today. Sherman will be getting $57 million over 4 years, something a sorry receiver like Michael Crabtree cannot say. With the deal, Sherman will surpass Darrelle Revis as the highest paid corner of all time. Sherman recently won the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. The NBA has a new king. Kevin Durant dethroned the longtime reign of former MVP LeBron James. Durant notches his first MVP into the record books. Durant received all but 6 first-place MVP votes, with LeBron getting the others. Durant recorded a career high in points, assists, averaging 32 points and 5.5 assists to go along with 7.5 rebounds per game. Randy Whitman has had a great season with the Washington Wizards, leading them to a second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs and also nabbing them a 5 seed. But Whitman has yet to do one thing for the team: dunk a basketball. The 6'6", 54-year-old former NBA player is reportedly trying to back out of his promise to dunk the basketball if his team made it past the Bulls. Senator Marcin Gortat said he is now claiming he said just to touch the rim. Regardless, Whitman is now one of 3 coaches to lead his team to a perfect 4-0 start on the road in the playoffs ever. And in an unexpected, yet expected, and maybe undeserved move, Mark Jackson has been fired from the head coaching position in Golden State. Jackson led the team to their first back-to-back playoff visits in 19 years, and the team won 51 games this past season. According to reports, the team owner Jay LeCobe was not a fan of the way that Jackson handled his business on and off the court, and thus created a strain between owner and coach. Along with the Knicks, Steve Kerr looks to be the favorite to replace the recently gone coaches. Jackson will most certainly be a hot commodity in the coaching search for other teams. While this offseason there should be debate whether the Warriors had a little bit of problems with the upper management and whether it was fair or foul to remove Jackson as coach. Now that you're up to date, let's send you into a commercial break, but when we return, Michael Garrett, Hank Cavagnaro, and GJ Melia will face off in the final debate of the semester. Stay tuned.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back. We are now here with our final debate of the semester, and along with us today we have Hank Cavagnaro, Michael Garrett, and GJ Melia. Today we will be doing the same thing as before. We'll be doing our normal points, and the final point will be worth double, so make sure that you're going out there, guys, and working hard for your points. Let's go ahead and get it started, though, with one of our last questions that we talked about and what you missed. Mark Jackson recently fired from the Golden State Warriors. There's been a lot of controversy whether it was a good move or a bad move, or why they should have done it or should not have done it in the first place. So I ask you guys, Mark Jackson being fired, fair or foul?
All right, I'll start this one off. It's foul. It has to be. He leads the team to the second straight playoff appearance, and that hasn't happened in 19 years for the Warriors. Wins 51 games. There's no way you can say that he deserves by any means to be fired. He has a great young team, and it just takes time for them to mesh and actually become a championship contender, but there's no reason he should be fired.
The only reason I would agree with you is because of the Bogut injury. I think that hurt, especially really diminishes their rim protection in that first round matchup against the Clippers, having the athleticism of Griffin and Jordan. But I'm okay with the firing, honestly. I think that Jackson's time in Golden State needed to go, especially because they weren't meshing. And I think you could tell that the way he coached throughout the season, Jackson relied too much on hero ball, having Steph Curry out there just chucking up prayers. I mean, when you've got Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, players like that. I mean, if you look at their roster of just their starting five with Curry, Thompson, Iggy, and then down low you've got Bogut and Lee, like.
Well, Bogut, do you really count? He wasn't playing half the year.
Yeah, maybe not in the playoffs, but if you're getting 51 wins in your season and you're only getting to a sixth round seed, granted the West is brutal, I think he should have done a lot better. I think there's a place in the NBA for him. I honestly think both parties are going to benefit. I think Jackson's going to go to a different system, improve a lot there, and I think the Warriors are going to move on with a better coach. I'm assuming Steve Kerr might step into that role.
Yeah, Steve Kerr's one among them.
GJ, jump in there.
All right. I agree with you, Michael. Especially, I mean, there was just the relationship was off there. It was strained from the start with the front office, and they didn't really like his playing style, his offensive, because it was kind of isolate, and they just kind of wanted to slow things down. And then he tended to play favorites. According to some of the players, like Steph Curry, he would just give the ball to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson rather than to get everybody involved. And that was where a lot of the relationship with the front office was strained.
And if you watch Curry's game, I mean, the guy can distribute too. Like, he's a great driver and passer. And if you've got jump shooters like Klay Thompson out there, I mean, the guy can get his shot. I think that their offense needs an overhaul, and I think bringing in a new coach, maybe a Steve Kerr, maybe somebody else, is good. Mark Jackson's going to find work. I mean,
But 51 wins and then you fire the coach?
Okay, my thought is that's a good season, and then you fire him. Last time I heard a GM just do whatever he wanted without actually like having reason was Sterling, and look how that ended up for the Clippers. So
I don't think
that's
those
a different
are
situation.
similar.
well,
in the
you look at Sterling. He told people based on their race they weren't allowed to live in his apartment complex.
But what does that have to do with firing a coach because you don't like where they're taking the team and the offense you're running?
Well, it's the GM doing whatever he wants.
I mean,
It's the owner.
Doing whatever
it was
he wants.
personal preference, and I think, like Michael said, I think both will benefit from this because there is definitely a place for Mark Jackson in the NBA,
There is.
but it's just not what the Warriors wanted with their franchise. I think that's not where they want.
Once Vogel gets fired for screwing it up in Indiana, I think that's where Mark Jackson's heading next, if you want my humble opinion, but we'll see.
There we go.
After the first question, we have our first point of the game, and the first point was not earned by Reese's, but rather by hard work. First point goes to GJ Melia. All right, going with our second question, sticking with the NBA. The Miami Heat last night seemed to seamlessly roll through I almost called them New Jersey, the Brooklyn Nets. And to a little bit of a concern to the Nets is their age. And one of the other questions after they defeated the Heat 4-0 in the regular season, will they be able to even get a game on the Heat? So my question to you all is, will the Heat roll through the Brooklyn Nets? I'm struggling here today.
Yes, absolutely. I think they will. Heat haven't lost yet. What makes us think that they're going to lose in the playoffs? I mean, 107-86 blowout in game one. LeBron goes for 22, 10 for 15 from the field. I don't think they've got it. I mean, Pierce and Garnett, who are their Hall of Famers. If you're doing a Hall of Famer matchup, you got D-Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, who are clear Hall of Famers. And you got Pierce and Garnett on the other side, who combined for a whopping 8 points, all of which came from Paul Pierce in the first game. I don't see the Nets pulling it together to beat him at all. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think maybe the Nets will steal one game when the series goes back, one, maybe two. But, I mean, I really think that if Paul Pierce continues to score in single figures and they didn't distribute the ball. They had 11 assists. Miami had 22.
Right.
They doubled them in assists, and they dominated them in every stat category. I'll say that.
Statistical was the word he's looking for. But if you look at it, you said it yourself. Pierce had 8 points. He didn't have anything that low any of the 4 times in the regular season they played the Nets. The last showdown between them, he dropped 22 points. So you got to look. I'm just going to say it's an off game. Like Garnett, yeah, he might not be what he was in Minnesota or Boston. He's not. He's averaging 6 points. But he is he's not necessarily the person who had the biggest point differential loss. That was Paul Pierce, having 22 points one game against him and 8 the next. There's no way you can just say he's not good. Like he's just had a bad game, off game.
I see this series boiling down to, can Joe Johnson and Darren Williams lead the Nets to beating the Heat? And there's no way. There's no way that's going to happen.
It hurts that Darren does not have a healthy ankle with twisting it.
The thing is, I don't think the Nets are going to win. Do I think they're going to get 2 games? That's my prediction. As I say, the Nets get 2 games in the series.
I mean, Heat in 5-6 max.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a way the Nets are going to win.
No.
But they're not going to get rolled over like they did in this first game.
Yeah.
If you don't debate, we're not going to give you the points. So the only person who started off on a fresh note was Mr. Michael Garrett that time. So Michael Garrett's getting the points this time. So we're now tied at 1-1, and Hank the Briber is still at 0 points. Sticking with NBA, and actually now moving to the Western Conference. There has been a lot of talk about what is the top team in the West. Is it going to be the Spurs? Is it the Trailblazers? Is it the Clippers? Is it Oklahoma City? My question for you all is what team has the best chance to make it out of the West and into the NBA Finals?
Well, I mean, I think you got to go with the Spurs right now because it's experience versus flash, because I think it's Spurs versus Clippers when it boils down to it. And the Spurs took care of business against the Trailblazers, and the Clippers absolutely destroyed OKC in that first game, which, I mean, I think it's really a toss-up right now, but I would have to go with the Spurs and tell the Clippers, if the Clippers do this again in Game 2 and take both in OKC, I say without a doubt it's the Clippers.
See, the thing is, I think it's OKC coming out of that matchup. Like, yeah, they got destroyed, but they have the MVP. Westbrook had a triple-double in Game 7 of the last series. I think Clippers are a lot of flash. They really are. They're Oop City for a reason. So I think OKC is going to come out of that. And I just think the role they're on right now is insane. I think they're just the best team in the West. You can't make the argument for the Spurs, and it is the veteran aspect you're looking at. But I think OKC is coming out of the West.
Well, your problem with that is Westbrook, because I think Westbrook's trying to take on too much of the offense, and you have an MVP on your team that's
averaging 32 points.
That's had one of the best seasons ever. Yeah, they're both great players, but at some point, the offense, you can't have 2 players that, if you watch that last game, Westbrook got up and left the huddle. He walked over to the end of the bench and pouted. Like, that's not what you want from someone who's trying to take over your team. I think the team that's getting out of the West, I have to agree with you, is the Spurs. Very well coached. They've got players who've been there time after time after time again, and they're just as good as they were last year, even better. They had a better regular season than they did last year. You got Duncan, Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard, and then role players like Danny Green, Thiago Splitter, Boris Diaw, Bellinelli. Like, they play so well as a team. They assist on almost every basket. Yeah. I think the Spurs, they're old. That's the problem. That's the one issue, because first you're going to battle it out with Portland. They're not going to go down without a fight. Portland's a really good, scrappy young squad.
Team.
Yeah.
D-Lill's great. I could see that series going really far, but I got the Spurs coming out.
That series matters a lot on if Aldridge can play like he did in the first series instead of get shut down, where he can drop 48 points in a game.
Marcus is wet.
Yeah.
He's dirty with it.
Yeah.
I think that matters a lot for the Spurs.
I think it boils down to coaching, like you said. Popovich, I think he's undoubtedly the best coach in the league now. And then Doc Rivers is right there. And, if Scott Brooks can start getting it into motion with this offense, especially.
The Thunder team that we know
exactly.
can be there.
I don't know what your guys. I just haven't trusted the Clippers. I love the Clippers. I think they're an exciting team. I've never trusted that team. Chris Paul is probably one of my favorite players in the NBA, but they just haven't, because they always have such a great season and then just go so flat in the playoffs. Yep. I think Oklahoma City comes back and wins that, and I think we've got another Spurs matchup, Spurs-Oklahoma City matchup in the Western Conference.
How many games you got in that one? Western Conference Finals.
If
it is OKC Spurs.
7. That's 7.
That's I don't know.
So quit your lollygagging. Lollygagging. I can't talk today either. Who's winning what? Who's winning?
Spurs, all reliable.
Spurs.
OKC. Thunder up.
Thunder up. Thunder up for the first point here, Hank. We are now tied at 1-1-1 going into the final 2 questions. This will be the last 1-point question, and we are now switching the topic over to football. The NFL draft is tomorrow, and there have been a lot of consensus that maybe Jadeveon Clowney will be the first pick in the draft, yet no 100% answer. Guys, I'm asking you, will the Texans take him, And also, should he be the first overall pick?
All right, I'll start this one off. Should he is a completely different question than will he. I think he will. I think he's just the talent, and you put him opposite J.J. Watt. That's just insane. That is one of the you look, the Lions did that a while back with getting Nick Fraley and Ndamukong Suh, and it's just like they ended up making it. They improved their team by improving their defense. So if you look, the Texans are essentially hoping to do that same thing. So I believe that they will pick him, but they need a quarterback, guys. That's the thing. There's just not a quarterback, I think, deserving of that first pick.
I mean, yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think they absolutely should take Clowney because he's too good not to pass up, especially with you already have a J.J. Watt on your D-line. You add Clowney, one of the best prospects since Ndamukong Suh, on a D-line. And, I mean, this guy runs a sub 4.5 40.
Faster than any quarterback in the league besides RG3.
Exactly. And RG3, we all know, he was an Olympic sprinter.
He's a track runner. Yeah. So I think as an athletic specimen, yeah, you take him. I mean, dear God, yeah, you take him. Like, the guy's a freak. But the question I have, and this is so cliche, is, but like, does he have the work ethic? I mean, everyone got so, I guess, like, enthralled with Clowney after he had that just murdering hit in the Michigan game. But I just wasn't impressed this last year. I mean, he took so many plays off. He just looked like he wasn't.
The thing was, he didn't change from 2 seasons ago. It's just the focus was then on him. After that hit, they expected him to every play get that hit, and you just can't expect that from a defensive lineman.
I'll bring this. His teammate was Marcus Lattimore, and he had that awful injury the year before. Marcus Lattimore was a first-round pick, no doubt. He drops to, I think it was the 3rd round after that. It was a career, just it really messed up his career, and now he's on a roster in the NFL, but he's nothing what he would be, and I think that had to do with a little bit with Clowney in his final season at South Carolina, taking it a little easy.
Yeah, I don't know. My whole thought is that, and I'm a firm believer in, like, you can be the most talented player in the world, but if you don't have the right attitudes, you're not going to go anywhere in the pros. And the NFL, as we all know, is a completely different game than college ball. I mean, yeah, it's great to think of having J.J. Watt on one side, having Clowney on the other side. I mean, that's just a nightmare for any
quarterback, really,
or even running game for that matter. But I don't know, man. I think that he's going to have to really show me some maturity. And yeah, I could be wrong. He could step into the league and work his butt off and become a really great player. Right now, I'm a little weary. The first-round pick is a big deal.
Yeah.
First pick overall, even.
I mean, any first-round pick is a big deal. And the first overall pick, I mean, being a Chiefs fan and knowing last year when we had to get Fisher, I mean, that's hard to see who your first pick is because you have every single player in all of college football on the board. So it's tough. It's a really tough decision.
Who do you think they pick instead of Clowney then?
I think they would go with Manziel. I mean, he's the best quarterback prospect, but I think they're going to go with Clowney.
I feel like you're jumping the gun here to our next question.
Jumping the gun a little bit. But having the right attitude is everything. That's what makes the great players great. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not able to put it out there on the field, you're not going to be able to get anything done. And if you don't have the right attitude here in the debate, you're not going to get the point. Michael Garrett had the right attitude on this question here. Michael now leads 2-1-1. This final question is worth 2 points. And the winner of this question will win the final debate of 3 in the Key this semester. And touching on Johnny Manziel in the last question, we will go on with that. Johnny Manziel, there's been a lot of speculation whether he will be a successful NFL quarterback due to his size and also due to his attitude. Guys, simple question for you here today. Will Johnny Manziel be a successful NFL quarterback?
Well, I'm a fan of Johnny Manziel, but I don't think he will be because I think he's going to slide to the Browns, and we all know the quarterback history of the Browns. I think since
a death wish.
Exactly, it's a death wish.
Colt McCoy.
Yes.
Go to Cleveland to die with your career.
Exactly, and I think that's going to be
enough.
Unfortunate because he's going to be put on a bad team, and he's going to make some dynamic plays this next year if he does end up going to the Browns, but it's not going to be enough, and he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd draft him, but I'd take Bortles over him if I'm looking for a quarterback. I mean, 6'5", pocket passer. He's really mature, right? Like, You got Manziel, who's the celebrity playboy guy who's, running around town. His maturity is definitely not there. I mean, if you look at the last 5 quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl, you've got Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees. Who's more like those quarterback, Bortles or Manziel? If I'm trying to start my franchise with a good quarterback, that's a traditional pocket passer and somebody I want on my team, I'm going with Bortles.
I just like to say, out of those two, you named two same height as Manziel. Wilson and Brees are both 5'11". You said you're going with the taller quarterback, pocket passer. You got to look in the league now. Shorter, more mobile.
Andrew Luck,
There's exceptions to every rule. Yeah,
Big Ben.
Brees, Big Ben. When was the last time Steelers?
It was
did
the
well?
year before Drew Brees, so that was 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
I mean,
he's been in the
still
league
won a
6
Super
years.
Bowl.
Something. So is
I'd
Brees,
take Big Ben.
Brees and Wilson. I mean, I'm just saying, Manziel is closest play style to Wilson. Honestly,
Not really. I think people get carried away with
yeah.
Wilson being an athletic quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's athletic, but Wilson manages games and then
Exactly.
adds a little flash to it. But he manages games.
It's because he runs
and
when he has to.
Exactly. Manziel, one of the biggest critiques of all NFL scouts. He goes out of the pocket when when he's not supposed to. He has time and he just, I'm gonna run. And Bortles is prototypical, like we talked about, like Big Ben, like Eli Manning, some of those guys.
He's going to take hits. He's going to stand tall. And
Exactly.
he's going to look down a defender coming at him and deliver the ball. Whereas Manziel, plus if you look at the way he holds it, he's like, he is going to get destroyed by a defensive player.
he's gonna get hit the first couple weeks. I'm not denying
It's
that.
gonna
he's
be
gonna
rough.
He's gonna learn though. He's gonna learn to stick in the pocket and play like pro player. He's gonna be good. Give him time. It's not gonna be the first year. It's not gonna be maybe the first 3 years. He's gonna be good.
Oh,
at
I
some
think
time.
he'll be good. I would take Bortles before I would take Manziel. I would.
If you rebuttal a question, that means you're arguing. And here on 3 in the Key, we love debate. Mr. Hank Cavagnaro is the winner of the final debate of 3 in the Key for the semester.
Reese's.
Reese's Gate.
Also, bribing our people backstage will also very much help.
Allegedly.
We're going to take a
Boo.
quick
Say
break
it.
right now, and when we come back, we will get you up to
I have
date on what's
pictures.
going to be going on next semester. Well, welcome back. I'm a very blessed person, very blessed in every aspect of my life. I'm 19 years old, I have a great family, great friends, and I get to talk about sports for my job. There are so many things in sports that makes our lives better, and so many shared experiences that enhance the happy spirit in all of us. Sports are not about the error and disgust in comments like those made by Donald Sterling, but rather in the joy shared together and the experiences of Adrian Payne and Lacey Hallsworth. It's been quite a semester. We've had a lot of trial and error, but we also had a lot of fun. We do the show in the Media Crossroads section of the Union, and we're very lucky to have all these things that we do. I just wanted to take a second to thank our advisor, Cal Butcher, for the long hours he puts in every single day to help put shows like this on air, and also my director, Abby, for keeping the technical side of things rolling, and to the rest of my staff for putting up with my stupidity and quirky ways of working. I want to thank all the guests that came on this semester and bantered, bickered, and informed all of us. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this semester and helping me pursue my dream. We will be back next semester, stronger and better than ever, and we look forward to you watching us. As for now, for the final time this semester, I'm Ben Allen. This has been 3 in the Key. Have a great summer, guys.